Good morning to you. Local election day in Gallatin County brings a strong turnout for a big levy to build a new law and justice center. Now, the results of that vote and the reaction from county commissioners, that's all ahead.
Good morning, Southwest Montana, 6:30 on this Wednesday. Chad Lemon, Missy O'Malley, Matt Elwell with you here. Interesting weather we've had. It was beautiful, 35 degrees when I left my house. It's still beautiful, but you've got that ice cloud hanging over, and roads could be slick.
They are slick along I-90 for sure. We're getting some reports of some accidents along I-90 Bozeman Pass area, so keep that in mind. Black ice and freezing rain and drizzle have been a problem early on. Now it looks like we're going to be dealing with that at least through part of the morning. Winter weather advisory out again, light snow and ice possible in a few areas. So watch for those slick roads, especially over the overpasses or on the overpasses and bridge decks. Temperatures into the 20s. Those temperatures have been falling pretty steadily throughout the morning, and it really doesn't look all that impressive on satellite and radar, but you can see that glow in our sky. That does indicate some ice crystals out there. Likely to see our best potential into the morning. Butte actually looks high and dry. We're going to take a look at your road report and much more in just a few minutes.
Thank you for that, Matt. Now 6:31. Of course, it was local election day yesterday. And most of the races, not even close.
We're going to start this morning with a bond for the new Gallatin County Law and Justice Center. It did not pass with voters. In fact, you can see easily defeated. 55% of Gallatin County voters rejecting the mill levy to create the new Law and Justice Center.
And Gallatin County commissioners are already thinking about the future after last night's defeat.
Yeah, MTN's Cody Boyer was at the county courthouse where he spoke to a disappointed county commissioner.
You have to trust the voters.
Two major votes on the ballot projected to be turned down by voters. Commissioner Don Seifert says he expected a tight race, but not defeat.
I was disappointed, no question about it. We've worked long and hard on this project. It's been a project that's been on the plate for more than 10 years, so it's something that we need.
Over 40% voter turnout, a big turnout for the November general election.
We need to understand that this is a problem with that building that will not go away. Tomorrow morning we'll still have the same problem. So we need to make sure that we get a project in front of the voters that they approve.
Seifert says moving forward, the county will have to recalibrate to address an aging problem.
We just hope that we can do a better job of educating the people that this is a building that is failing, and we want it to make sure we don't have a catastrophic failure in that building.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now, Gallatin County officials say more than 40% of registered voters cast ballots in this election. That's considered very good turnout for a non-presidential election ballot. Again, these are just preliminary numbers. Official ballots won't be until the canvass, and that comes up next week.
Now, next up on the ballot, should political races in Gallatin County be nonpartisan? Now, 54% said no. Remainder saying yes, and that wide gap seems to indicate a very clear preference by local voters for party designations, even for county-level offices.
Did have a couple of races we were following. Results for Bozeman mayor also showed a clear preference of voters. Incumbent Cindy Andrus wins that one easily with 63% of the vote over challenger Brian Lemires.
And on the Bozeman City Commission side, Michael Wallner gets 56% of the vote, to Mark Egge with 34%, and Zachary Crum with 10.
We're going to shift gears just a little bit. All those results are right down there at the bottom of your screen. You can be reading along while we're doing the show. And of course, we have it all posted on our websites, KBZK, KXLF.com. Other news happening, an early morning fire yesterday destroyed part of a West Yellowstone business, left 7 people without a home.
Now, thanks to the work of the crews from 3 states, this fire was kept from doing more damage.
We know we had an early morning commercial fire started in a mechanical shop here. By the time our crews got on scene, the fire was fully involved. We had smoke and flame showing out the roof structure.
The fire was reported around 3 o'clock by a West Yellowstone police officer. The shop housed 5 snow coaches, and all the tools, tanks, and fuels needed to service them. Nearby residents say the fireballs were shooting 150 feet in the air. Debris could be found a block away from the scene. Crews were able to save a hotel that shared space with a shop, but they couldn't save everything. 2 trailers completely destroyed, as was the shop and all of the contents in this alley behind me. What was the cause? That's a question to be answered by the state fire marshal.
The entire building was a loss. We have the state fire marshal coming down to do the investigation on that. So I can't really comment to the cause and origin of the fire right now. What I can say is that we lost the commercial building and 2 residential trailer houses that people were living in and are displaced from this morning.
It took crews hours to bring the blaze under control, and those crews came from 3 states.
We had Big Sky Fire come down with a couple engines and some command, and it helped out tremendously. We had Island Park come over with 5 individuals and 2 engines, and we also had an engine from Old Faithful come in.
Now, the owner of the shop lost 5 snow coaches just weeks before the winter season begins in West Yellowstone. No word on how long the investigation into the cause of the fire will take. In West Yellowstone, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
Again, no injuries reported because of that, and because the winter season's still a few weeks away, there were no guests in the neighboring hotel at the time of that fire, so that was the good news.
Fortunate, and you mentioned it was about 34 degrees when you were there.
Yeah, that could not have been.
It could have been a
for
lot
that as
worse, but wow, those snow coaches.
Yeah, 5 of them.
Well, good job covering that story. It was a long day for you yesterday. Now, new for us this morning, we have a heads up for Bozeman residents about another water main shutoff.
This one will happen on Friday. That's this Friday, November 8th, from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock. Homes on the block of West Babcock Street will be affected, along with a couple of addresses, West Main and South 19th Avenue. Shutdown will allow crews to cap off an abandoned fire hydrant on West Babcock. Also right now, if you complete your criminal sentence or parole in Montana, or even if you're exonerated of your crime, you still may show up on the State Department of Corrections ConWeb public database for 3 years.
Now, this could be really tough if you're trying to find housing or a job, but as MTN's Mike Dennison reports, the state's policy is about to change.
Jerry Marble of Conrad has a son who's no longer under state supervision for a 7-year-old drug conviction, and another son who's been exonerated on a rape charge and freed from prison. But they're still listed on ConWeb, the state's public website and database of criminal offenders.
For my sons and anyone, it affects their employment opportunities. It affects their housing opportunities. After they've fulfilled their debt to society, they're released from the Department of Corrections. They're no longer subject to the Department of Corrections. Then why should they be on that list?
Marble asked state corrections officials a year ago to take his sons off the list, but they would not. But last week, after inquiries from NTN News, the department said it has changed its mind. As of January 1st next year, the Department of Corrections says it will remove from ConWeb any ex-offender whose sentence is completed or who is no longer under agency supervision. Correction officials say they're responding to concerns raised by ex-offenders and that the move could help people stay clean and out of the correctional system. Zeke Campfield of the Missoula Interfaith Collaborative says having ex-cons on ConWeb was never a good idea and went beyond the sentence decided by a judge.
The judge never decided that someone had to carry this badge on their chest beyond the limits of the sentence that they were given. And so what we're doing here is we're actually continuing the punishment beyond what a judge has decided the punishment needs to be.
The department began ConWeb in 2002 and had made an administrative decision to keep offenders on the system for 3 years after their release. But some of the people still on ConWeb include people whose entire conviction has been overturned, but it still lists them as released. But starting this January, they'll no longer be listed at all. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now, the director of the Montana Innocence Project commended the department for, as he put it, doing the right thing.
In other news, the annual Montana Folk Festival in Butte appears to be bringing in more visitors from out of state. Organizers of the festival say about 65% of attendees were from somewhere outside of the state of Montana. Previous festivals reported about 25% of visitors came from out of state. And this is good news because out-of-state visitors tend to spend more money.
They have to rent rooms, they have to buy gas, they have to buy dinner. It's just a bigger result for the tourism dollar if people are coming from out of state. Yeah.
Now, organizers say the reason for the rise in the number of out-of-state guests is a broader marketing campaign. The festival will return again next summer, July 10th through the 12th. Always such a good time.
No matter where you come from, it's a great time.
That's right. 6:39 here. We do have to take a quick break. So glad you're with us. In a moment, we're going to head to Mexico, where an innocent Mormon family was attacked and killed. Turns out they were not the intended target. We have those details for you in just a moment.
Gail King also has some details of what's coming up at 7 o'clock. Here she is.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS this morning, a heavily armed suspect has been detained after 9 Americans were killed in northern Mexico, 6 of them children. Sources tell CBS News that 3 women and the 6 kids may have been targeted by a drug cartel. Plus, in our Bill of the Month series, we look at why mental health care is not always covered by insurance and what you can do if you find yourself with a shockingly high bill. That is never fun. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.